Okay, we are live. Welcome, everyone. Sorry we're a little bit late, but a couple minutes here. But technology, what can I say? But welcome to this week's Local to Global Mavens Hangout with myself, Cheryl Lynn from Cheryl Lynn International, and my actual release of the new product, Local Entrepreneur Academy, where we help out local businesses go global. And my wonderful co-host.
My name is Adam Homey. I'm the founder of HelpMyWebsiteSell.com and the Business Creators Institute, and I'm here with my personal assistant who's here to say hello, and I'm so happy everybody could join us today.
Hello, hello.
Here, get down. Good girl. All right.
So this
So,
week, sorry, Adam.
no,
This
you go right ahead.
so this week, we're going to be talking about some selling techniques. Adam has got wonderful tips for us here today, and I'm actually looking forward to it because I'm one of those girls that really, really has a hard time with selling. I don't have a problem, anyone that's actually contacting me, but contacting them, yes, I have a huge, huge reservation about it. I don't like it. So Adam is going to share some wonderful tips with us today. So take it away, Adam.
Well, it's really just one tip, but it's extremely powerful.
Okay.
We have coming up here at HelpMyWebsiteSell.com a business boosting training program, like a full-scale mastery course called
Yes.
Discussion Group Game Mastery. And we are going to be covering a lot of things in that course, including how to properly find the right discussion groups on LinkedIn and Facebook to belong to, how to introduce yourself, how to become recognized as a leader within that group, and for the advanced folks, how to start your own group and curate a prosperous and dynamic community. Well, being in discussion groups, participating in other people's discussion groups on the various social media platforms is, to me, the ultimate selling without selling strategy. And there are a few reasons for this. Number one, the culture of discussion groups specifically discourages selling and rewards helping. So
Yes.
for those of you who are watching this, whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching the podcast of it, look at your marketing and you're looking for the ultimate selling without selling platform, discussion groups are the way to go. The more you participate in discussion groups as a helper, somebody who provides great information, somebody who becomes a go-to, somebody who's recognized as the guru of or the wizard of within that group, the more you will attract clients and the more you will grow your list. For example, just yesterday, we had a public webinar on Discussion Group Game. And I am very pleased to tell you that over half of the people who registered for that webinar are people that I recruited out of other people's discussion groups. In my conversation inside those discussion groups, I did not mention I was doing a webinar. I did not mention that I do webinars. And yet half the people who registered for my webinar are people that I found inside discussion groups. That's part of the magic of it, selling without selling. I didn't have to worry about, well, how do I carefully word this post so it doesn't look like I'm trying to do a list building opportunity, and how do I toe the line and make sure that I don't inadvertently cross any rule. None of it. I didn't have to do any selling whatsoever.
And that's the
In fact,
beauty of it.
had I gone into any of these discussion groups that I'm regularly part of, three that you'll frequently see me in on Facebook are Your Virtual Assistant, Marketing Mega Minds, and Internet Marketing Super Friends. If I had gone into any of those, and said, guys, I'm doing a webinar on Discussion Group Game, I'd have been kicked.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, because that is not what you do. That's like going to a networking function and bringing your laptop.
Right, right.
I mean, if you want to rewind this 10 years, that's exactly what it looked like. I was the head of the chapter of a professional association. We always had these two or three people who would come to our monthly networking events, and they would bring their laptop and they would foist their demos of their softwares upon people, and it was looked upon like, yeah, you don't want to be that person inside a discussion group. And the beauty part is the less you work at it, the less you try to be salesy, or the less you try and toe that line, you just focus on giving, the more results you will get.
And that's so true. And I'd like to share a couple of tips with respect to just following that, what you just mentioned, Adam, was and like Facebook, they have their Facebook groups. Before really, you know, Facebook got into the groups, we used to call them forums online. And there's still forums online, but I think the majority of people are hanging out in the Facebook groups. Then you actually have on Google, you have communities. They're called communities, and they are actual groups, and you could
Right.
certainly provide your expertise in helping someone solve their problems on there. And recently, it was actually just before Christmas, I started blogging on LinkedIn,
Yeah,
and they're called,
we've been doing that too, actually.
yeah, and they're called posts on LinkedIn.
Yes.
And there was one Saturday, as you know, I serve the local entrepreneurs niche, and I follow Marcus um, Lebanus. He's from the Prophet, and he actually took his strategies and he um, took to building a local business, his strategies, and took it to an actual community in the States that were hurting big time, like really, really big. And they were really running out of money. It's just a small town. So he took his strategies, and it's amazing how he's got the community rebuilding itself again just based on his strategies that he uses in local businesses. So I did a post on that.
Right.
And right now in LinkedIn, it's over 1,000 views. And it was just about me just being helpful, talking about true from my heart, how I felt about this whole thing. It was about helping others, but it's amazing. So it's so true, and I can go on, and I'm sure you've got examples as well, um, Adam, with just helping out people, and then how they get to know you and your services just by following you after you help them out.
You're absolutely right about that. LinkedIn is one of the more stealth social media platforms. The majority of our business growth occurs on LinkedIn. That's always been the case, and it is for a lot of folks as well. You've heard me many times on the Local to Global Mavens Hangouts bemoan that whenever we talk about social media marketing, you hear Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, and then every so often we'll add one in that has to do with pictures, such as Pinterest or Instagram, something along those lines. But somehow LinkedIn never seems to get added to that conversation. Now, I've asked various social media marketing gurus why that is, and I'm told in many cases by many of these folks, it's because of a perception that LinkedIn is not as sexy as the others because it doesn't have all the same apps. Well, the fact is, there is an app for LinkedIn you can install on your smartphone. It's a very sophisticated app. It allows you to manage your own thread, your status updates, your profile. It allows you to make connections, do private messages. It also allows you to manage and participate in discussion groups. So
Yes.
it's pretty full-fledged. It's really is very much like the desktop LinkedIn experience. They did a real nice job with that application. And if you haven't checked it out yet, I really encourage you to install it on your smartphone and check it out. It's one of the very few apps I have on my smartphone because you know that I tend to strip out pretty much all the default apps that come with the phone when it first comes from the factory, and I only want a small handful of my own. The number of apps I keep on my phone can fit on one screen, and that's why I like it.
Right. Well, that's simple. You should see my phone. It's crazy. Because I'm in that, and there's a lot, because I do a lot of work with Google, and so my husband has an Android phone, so I've got apps on there, and we test them and we work with them, and then we make a recommendation. So I'm in a totally different arena when it comes to helping out local businesses with the apps, but I don't keep them very long as well. I do change them, but I have a lot more than that.
Right. Yeah, I sometimes test apps and sometimes I will experiment with them, and very few make the cut of being an app that I really want to keep on my phone. There is
Mhm.
only one app that I have on my smartphone that is the type of app where it's a marketer doing push marketing, because that's one of the most common uses of applications is to link it to your blog and use it as an opt-in platform and to do push marketing out to your phone subscribers, and
Right.
that's the smart marketing app from Jim Palmer. That's the only Marketers app that I have on my phone, and that's a really great app because you see the Newsletter Guru TV episodes and the Stick Like Glue podcast. In fact, I was just the other day featured on the Stick Like Glue podcast. It was a very exciting time, and I really love doing the interviews on Stick Like Glue Radio. I think I've been on there 3 or 4 times, and I know I'm also going to be speaking at the Dream Business Academy in San Diego, which is also going to be very exciting. So that's the only app that I keep on my smartphone, is the Smart Marketing app from Jim Palmer, the Newsletter Guru and Dream Business Coach. But outside of that, it's things like the Facebook app, the Google Plus app, the Twitter app, the LinkedIn app. I have the app for Ring Central. I have an app for, there's another one I use pretty commonly. Oh yeah, my banking app, so that I can scan checks. That's pretty much it.
Right.
It's pretty
Right.
much anything that makes me money and nothing that doesn't.
Right. Right.
Oh yes, and I have a Pac-Man app. How could I not have Pac-Man? That would be sacrilege. Because part of making money is having fun, and everybody knows I'm crazy about Pac-Man. I even say it on my website.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and so there's a lot more apps that I have on my phone, but there's uh when it comes down to these forums or whatever, that's how I've built actually my list as well, and that's just helping out others. I don't like sales, Adam. I really don't
Right.
like sales, but
Me
I love helping others, and if I can help solve a problem. And that's where I've got actually, and that's how I kind of built my email list, is about just helping others.
Right. So what we're supposed to talk about here today are 4 phrases that make you friends and win you clients inside discussion forums. So let me back up a step or two and tell you a little bit about discussion group game. When you have true discussion group game, you do not need to share links to anything inside a discussion group. Most public discussion groups, in fact, every public discussion group that is properly moderated and has a culture of service and helping, will forbid you from posting links of any kind, especially on Facebook. Now, on LinkedIn, there is an exception to that, and in certain types of Facebook groups, there's an exception to that. But when you're using public discussion groups as a way of networking and attracting more prospects and visitors to your brand, you do not ever want to post links, and most groups will kick you if you post links, no matter what kind of link it is, because the easiest way to avoid the conversation of whether or not a link was promotional is just not to allow links. And if you have
Yeah,
discussion group game, you can get your point across, and you can get people to your website without posting a link or even mentioning you have a website.
right. There's a lot of people. That's actually at the beginning. One of the ways that I built my Facebook community on my profile page was the fact of just doing that itself. And now, like, I'm up to 5,000 people. So
Right.
but that it was that plus wishing them a happy birthday. And what happens is when you actually post stuff, and everyone's done it. I've done it. You've done it. It's like when you're in a Facebook group and you see someone that's posting a lot of good information, you all automatically go and search them out on Facebook.
That's one of the points that we make in discussion group game, and part of what we're going to talk about in the masterclass when we start in February is what you need to have on your profiles. A few simple things you need to have on your social media profiles. So once you've established your thought leadership and discussion group to the point where people need to check you out because they recognize that you are somebody who can truly help them with what they're doing and growing their business, then it needs to be very easy for them to explore your intellectual properties and your marketing properties to make their decisions to work with you now. So what I'd like to do here is I'd like to share with you 4 examples of how I attracted leads, prospects, and clients out of discussion groups. And I'm going to explain to you 4 phrases that I use. So I'm going to tell you the stories, and then I'm going to say the phrases, and then I'm going to say the phrases in a row, and I'm going to see if you can tell me what jumps out. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Go for it,
Okay.
Adam.
Very first one, there was a discussion going on in a discussion group about the best WordPress plugins that you need to use. And I made my own list of the WordPress plugins that I like to use, and I included one called Embedit Modified, Embedit Modified. On the WordPress plugin exchange, there's the regular Embedit, the original Embedit, but however, there's one called Embedit Modified that actually solves the shortcoming of the original Embedit. Embedit Modified is not on the WordPress plugin exchange. However, I have a copy of it. And I have it, and I described it in one of my Tuesday technology tips on my website. And because it wasn't on the WordPress exchange and there wasn't a way for me to share it, I typed this inside the group because I got to keep a couple people curious about Embedded Modified. I said, out of respect for the group and the moderators, I don't post links. If
Right.
you'd like the WordPress plugin I just described, add me and message me. So
Right.
that's the first scenario. Second scenario, somebody was asking a question about Camtasia Video, which is one of my favorite topics. So I answered his question. He had follow-up questions, and then I answered his questions, and real conversation was breaking out inside that discussion group, and it was turning into a private conversation between me and him on that thread. So I recognize that while this is all well and good, that we have spectators and flies on the walls who are conversations about using Camtasia in your marketing and your training, I really felt that there was a connection here, and this is really something we need to take to the next level. So I typed in the thread. I said, look, if this is something you find yourself wanting to explore further, add me and message me. So that was the second one. Okay, here comes the third one. I was in another discussion group, and we were having a conversation about long sales copy versus short sales copy, another one of my favorite debates. And I got into a pretty intense discussion about this, and a lot of great ideas were flying about. And while I was having the conversation with somebody, I'll just lay it out there, I researched them. I went to their profiles, I went to their websites, I found out that they had a podcast that I wanted to be on, and I wanted to have them on my podcast as well, the Business Creators Radio Show. So my ultimate goal here was that this person and I would end up exchanging podcast appearances, which is exactly what happened, by the way. And so what I said to them was, because the conversation was still going about the long copy versus short sales copy, and it was against kind of evolving into a private conversation between me and this person, I said, look, so we don't clog up the thread with this, add me and message me and I'll help you there.
Right.
All right? Because where the conversation had turned to is I was actually, at this point, looking at some copy they had written. So I said, add me and message me and I'll help you there. That's the third scenario. So you ready for this? Here's the fourth scenario. We had somebody who was having a very difficult time for some reason who posted inside a discussion group that they were having a heck of a time getting authorized.net to plug into one shopping cart. Now, I know for a fact that's one of the easiest things in the world to do. Interfacing authorized.net, which is a virtual terminal, with one shopping cart, which is an all-in-one email marketing system, is one of the easiest things you will ever do in your life. But they were really struggling with it to the point where they posted inside a discussion group. So I said, I'd be happy to help you troubleshoot that. Add me and message me.
Yeah.
All right, so you heard me say 4 phrases. I'm going to say them again. Phrase number 1, out of respect for the group and the moderators, I do not post links. If you'd like the WordPress plugin I just described, add me and message me. Number 2, if this is something you find yourself wanting to explore further, add me and message me. Number 3, so we don't clog up the thread with this, add me and message me and I'll help you there. And the fourth one is, I'd be happy to help you troubleshoot that. Add me and message me.
Right.
What is the commonality between those 4 statements?
Add me and message me.
The 5 words. There you go. So
add me.
Add me and message me.
Message me.
Right.
Cool.
So let me unpack that so you understand why that phrase is so important. And let me begin by explaining what is not happening, what you are not doing inside that discussion group, or even not even so much in discussion groups, but let's just say that you're on one of the social platforms and somebody makes a status update and you join the discussion that builds under that, and there's something going on in that conversation that you feel will be mutually beneficial for you and the other person if you take it offline. So there are 3 things that are not happening when you say add me and message me. The first thing that is not happening is you're not pummeling people with friend or connection requests and making them out to be jerks if they don't or can't accept.
Right.
Because the problem is when you randomly send a friend request to somebody, you kind of or a connection request on LinkedIn or one of those join my circle things, whatever you officially call it on Google+.
Communities.
Exactly. You put them in a situation where if they don't accept you, it's like they're rejecting you. Now, maybe they don't know you enough that they want to be friends or connections, or maybe they're near their limits, or there could be 25 other reasons why they may not be able to accept your request. So if you reach out to them and try and add them, what you're doing is you're putting them potentially in a very tough situation that could rupture your relationship before it even begins. The
Mm-hmm.
second thing that's not happening is because you are not sending the direct message first, you are not initiating what even anybody living under a rock knows is a sales conversation of some sort. Because you're the one that's doing the helping, and when you push the help that way, it very quickly turns into something salesy if you don't watch it. When you have the other person initiate the message, you avoid that, and I'll explain more in a second. The third thing, and this kind of goes along with number 2, is when you use the phrase add me and message me, you're not forcing yourself into their kitchen to help with the dishes and making them uncomfortable with your help.
That's true.
Now,
That's so
yeah,
true.
some people, when they host gatherings at their house, love when the guests come in and help do the dishes. Other people find it offensive.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
know? How do you know which is which? And sometimes it's a matter of the person's personal preference, and in some cases, it's really an ethnic or a national cultural thing. For instance, in Poland, if you are a guest at somebody's house and after you finish the dinner, you even offer to help, that's considered an insult to your host because you're saying that they don't know how to host a party.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's just one example of this, because I did research on this thing because it kind of grips me, because personally I don't want people helping me. I will take care of it myself. I know how to do dishes and I know how to wipe countertops. It's not that big a deal. So when we use that phrase add me and message me, we're not forcing them into a situation where they have to say yes or no to a request. We're not initiating a conversation. It could very quickly be perceived as salesy, and we're not imposing ourselves with help that the person may not necessarily want. So what's happening is instead the converse. By saying add me and message me, you're saying to them, if you would like to be connected with me, if you'd like us to be friends, if you'd like us to be in circles together, send me a request. Which, since you ask them to send you the request, you know it's going to be automatically accepted anyway as soon as you get it from them.
Mm-hmm.
So they know that when they send that request, they are guaranteed an approval, which is going to make them feel good. And it's not going to put them in a situation where they have to accept or reject you, because you're inviting them. And if they don't take you up on it, oh well, other fish in the sea.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for
Mm-hmm.
the second point, because you're having them message you, you are creating the framework where they are coming to you asking for the help. So instead of it being you pushing out and hoping they bite down on what's eventually going to be an offer you make, they are coming to you inviting you to show them how you help.
Right.
So
Right.
now becomes yours to win or lose instead of yours to fight for. And then the third piece, you're not forcing yourself into the kitchen, so to speak, is because they invite you. Like, they look over the countertop and they say, hey, could you give me a hand for a second? Now there's no question of whether or not they really want your help or not. They are telling you they want the help. So when they message you, when they add you and they message you, they're inviting you into their world. And in any conversation about sales and marketing, isn't that what we ultimately want? We want our prospects to invite us.
Oh, absolutely. I love that position. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? You
right.
like
So
that position.
Right. So this is major league discussion group game. If you've been helpful inside that discussion group, if you've shown that you know what they're talking about, you're talking about rather, if you've approached the interaction inside the discussion group or inside the discussion thread or what have you from a place of giving and abundance, and if you've kept the entire interaction all about them and their needs up until now, every single time I've used the phrase add me and message me, this has happened with me every time, you'll have a friend or connection request and an inbox message by the time you blank.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I have never, ever, ever had anybody decline that opportunity. Ever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ever, ever,
Absolutely.
ever. And to this day, those are some of the strongest social connections that I have.
And it's so important. And I think when you're talking about this, I'm thinking about local nation, like my local nation,
Right,
how it can help them and serve them. And, it just comes to say if there's a chiropractor or a dentist or even a dealership, we take a dealership, you see someone, you've picked your actual groups that you want to communicate in discussion and talk with and so on and so forth. And if you see, a particular, and we'll just take a chiropractor, someone in that group is having a hard time with the back pain and can't solve something or whatever, we'll just go with back pain. If you send, like, say to them and start engaging with them in that form, it's like, well, maybe, you could try this or you could try that. And then say something that is not working with them, or you feel that is not, they're not getting it, then you can do what Adam has suggested. Just if you want to know more about how, I this treatment can help or so on and so forth, then Facebook me or message me. And then
right.
it's your opportunity at that time, local business owner, to actually share information. Maybe you've got a book on that, maybe you've got an article on that. And this is what I mean about it going local, going global. So maybe that person's in Australia
Right.
and maybe you've got a book online to sell. Well, because you help that person out, you could probably get very easily a particular sale of your book just from helping out. A great example, Adam, of local going global.
Exactly. And thank you so much for sharing that because that's absolutely great. I saw somebody just yesterday on Facebook, marketing coach David Newman. He posted something on his personal wall stating, his personal Facebook wall stating that he had just created a new special report. And what he said was, hey, anybody who's interested in this, send me a message. Or actually, no, what he said was, let me back up. What he said was, anybody who's interested in this, leave a comment here and I'll send it to you. So basically what he was saying is I'm going to send this link to people who want it. So you have to leave a comment here that says you want it, and then I will send you a message with the link. So he
Right.
could have just said, hey, I got a new special report, here's the link. But what he was doing, and this is absolute brilliance. Now, he may see this Hangout and he may describe this a different way, but what I got out of it was that he was creating a personal engagement with every single person on that thread who may be interested in his new white paper, his new special report, rather than just putting a link out there and see what happens. I mean, how hard is it to very quickly go into your Facebook messages and copy paste a link and say thanks over and over again? Not very hard.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's a brilliant strategy
Yeah,
because with the fact of Facebook coming in and taking all those numbers away from us now, that's a great strategy for engagement and how to increase those numbers. And at the same time, a lead source that comes into your business as well. So that's great.
yeah,
Awesome.
and see, I really like that. Actually, what it is, it's a brand new cheat sheet for consultants, speakers, coaches, experts, and solo professionals. So this is a really great offer, and I'm downloading it myself today, and I can't wait to check it out because that's something that I think we all need. And I'm always happy to give a shout out to David Newman. He's a great guy. So I wanted to share that as well as another way to create engagement and find out who your early responders are. Because when you think about it, when you have that direct connection with somebody, doesn't that kind of carry through? Whereas if you just opted into something, it's just another list you're on.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
on a lot of lists, but I remember which ones where I have a personal connection with the individual who introduced me to it in the first place. And whenever I do the periodic trimming of the old promotions tab on Gmail, the ones I don't, the ones I don't unsubscribe from are the ones where I know the person.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And I just
isn't that funny how that works? So if you want to increase your opt-in rates, get higher opt-in conversion rates, and maintain people on your mailing list longer, Discussion Group Game will do that for you too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
There's two, and we're at the half hour, so we've come
right.
to this so
We are
quickly, so quickly.
we're right at the top here, so I just want to reiterate real quickly what happens when you use the Discussion Group Game formula to connect with people one-on-one inside discussion groups, or when you promote your new special report. Here's what happens. They are coming to you. They have invited you to show them how you can help. They're hanging on your every word and want more. So you tell me, how's that for selling without selling?
Absolutely. That's wonderful strategies. And you know what? I've got two reports that I've just created, and I'm gonna use that. Thank you very much. I like
Yeah,
that strategy. I
yeah.
like that
Actually,
strategy.
we're going to be doing one too. It's going to be out within the next few days, and it's going to be about some of the simple things you need to do when recording videos to rescue them from becoming complete train wrecks.
Right. And at
Because
the
I, 'cause
same time,
I get handed a lot of videos that are basically useless because there are a few simple steps that people don't take. Or if they're not useless, you now have to do a lot of extra work that would not have been necessary had people just done a few very, very, very simple things. And each one of them only takes a few seconds to do.
right, right. And having said that, with all those tips that you shared with us here in the strategies, I'm actually going to go over to David's Facebook page and let's see if we can get that
Yeah,
report.
right,
So,
right.
just
Yep.
from this show alone, he's actually got one person. And at
Well,
the
there you
same
go.
time, if I had that one person, I got 5,000 people on my profile, 1,000 on my fan page. Hey, it just opened up to that, like to David, 6,000 people.
Exactly.
Mm,
That right there is the definition of viral marketing.
absolutely. That's a good one. Good one. Well,
Yes.
I really enjoyed this discussion here today, Adam. Thank you so much for sharing all those great tips. So just wishing. Hey, I get a little bit excited here. Um, but I hope and to see that you put these types of strategies in your business, whether it's online or local, and share with us. Let us know how it's worked for you and the successes that you've had in implementing these strategies. So wishing you all a wonderful week in your business, and we'll see you next Friday. Bye, everyone.
Everybody take care.